What happens when key evidence is restricted, witnesses cannot be questioned, or the defense is limited in what it can present at trial? In these recordings, we hear the judge make critical rulings that Sterling argues limit his ability to confront witnesses and present key issues to the jury. What a jury never hears can decide a trial. Let's listen.
Number 2 is state's notice to admit 911 recording without witness testimony and motion in limine to admit 911 recording into evidence. I do have a response on that. Again, this is a statement of Arizona law, which makes certain recordings admissible with proper certification. I have considered the defendant's objection. It is ordered granting this. If the proper certification is offered at trial, the evidence will be admissible.
Your Honor, I'm going to have to respectfully object because I have the right to confront these witnesses, and they're asking to introduce this stuff without calling these witnesses to trial.
Which is what Arizona law allows. So, again, you're objecting to my ruling doesn't mean anything. You filed a response in which you objected, and I considered your objection, and I'm overruling your objection, and I'm recognizing that the state's motion accurately states Arizona law.
Okay.
Your objection is preserved by your response.
Okay. I'm still gonna object because the state law doesn't supersede the federal law. It doesn't supersede the constitutional provision of my right to confront.
You already made that objection in your response. You want to make it again?
I just did.
Why don't we make it 10 more times?
I just did, Your Honor. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
In this instance, during the hearing, the judge have properly allowed the state to admit evidence of 911 recorded witness statements without allowing me the opportunity to confront the witnesses at trial in violation of the Sixth Amendment Constitution of the United States. In this particular case, multiple witnesses made various contradicting statements. Some of the statements that witnesses made also contradict with police records and with medical records. And it is important for me to be able to confront these witnesses on the stand to show either the impropriety or the unreliability of the police investigation and or the unreliability of the witness statements. What the state has sought to do and has accomplished here is secure a ruling by the judge that would allow them to present just the recorded statements without bringing these unreliable witnesses to trial, because the state is fully aware that if these unreliable witnesses take the stand, they cannot possibly win trial because their case is a sham. The judge entered this ruling without having an evidence hearing to first listen to the 911 calls to determine if they were testimonial statements. The Supreme Court of the United States and the Court of Appeals in Arizona have both determined that it is improper for the state to introduce recorded or documentary evidence against the defendant that contain testimonial statements when the defendant is unable to confront those accusers and or witnesses. See Crawford versus Washington, 541 U.S.36, 124 S.CT, 1354, 158 L.ED.2D, 117, year 2004. Also see State versus King, 212 ARIZ.372, 132 P.3D 311, 476 ARIZ period, ADV period REP period 3, year 2006. Both of these cases contain specific decisions that talk about the impropriety of admitting recorded statements from witnesses who are not appearing at trial, and if those statements are prejudicial to the defendant when he cannot confront those witnesses. In this instant case, the judge was fully aware that it was improper for him to grant the state's motion without listening to the 911 recordings to determine if they were testimonial statements. And the judge was fully aware that law strictly prohibits him to admit those recordings into evidence, but he did so anyway.
Justice does not begin with a verdict. It begins with whether the truth is allowed to be heard. When critical evidence is restricted and witnesses cannot be confronted, the foundation of a fair trial is shaken. Sterling argues that these rulings create judicial prejudice that cripple ability to present his defense, challenge the prosecution's claims, and expose flaws in the investigation. To fully understand the extent of the judicial prejudice occurring in this court, listen to the other recordings in this series, which raise serious questions about judicial misconduct and prosecutorial deceit. Thank you for watching. If you believe transparency in the justice system matters, please like, share, and subscribe so more people can hear these recordings and understand the issues being raised.